Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon and George. Also, Happy New Year. This is the first show of 2025. Excited for some incredible guests as always in the Parkinson's world of advocacy. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed ironically today. It would have been 5 years, so 1/1/2020. So we started together for Sharon.com in her memory and to advocate today for a cure for all those still battling PD and their families because no one is ever alone in this fight for a cure. Today's guest is someone who I find not just inspiring, but I can't keep up with because I went once rock climbing with my wife and I couldn't last even a minute or two. So I'm really excited, not just to hear about his journey, but to see how he's so able to inspire others through the things that he does. So I want to welcome Vivek to the show and really, I've been following you for a while. You're a celebrity to me, and I do love you. And I'm just excited to share all that you do with the world today.
Well, I think you have the wrong person then.
I love it. Well, I do have
Um,
a little quote I wanted to start off with, and actually, it's funny because it's January 1st, but I'm not sure you could all see, but it's a picture of the mountains, and the quote is from Jim Rohn. Motivation is what gets you started. The habit is what keeps you going, and that's something I think today for our topic, rock climbing, is really fascinating because like I said, regular individuals who actually have been athletes my whole life can't do that. So I wanted to know if we could hear a little bit about your background before we kind of jump into a lot more on advocacy.
sure. I'm 50 years old, married, three kids, run a family business, home building business in Northern Virginia. I was diagnosed at 38, and it was the day after our third child was born because that just adds that much more emphasis to the melodrama, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and Over time, I've went from being very secretive about my diagnosis and trying to hide it, and not just from others, but in a way from myself and from my wife, even though I told her. Over time, it's changed to becoming more public about it, of course, because I eventually had to, but also just finding much more joy and satisfaction and personal just fulfillment in talking to other people, sharing my story, and hopefully motivate other people to do something or just change, have a different attitude towards this disease because it's so easy to get sucked into a negative spiral or just negativity and just woe is me. And I know for me that's a death trap. So
Yeah,
it's a manner of survival in a sense.
I appreciate the honesty and standing up because I do feel you're a voice for so many. My mother unfortunately had it for 15 years, but was one of those individuals who felt alone. She never even met someone with Parkinson's, which is really something I look back. We don't regret it because we wouldn't have known what to do then. But today I met so many incredible people like yourself who I imagined even just a quick phone call with her would have changed her life. But she did not want to leave the house a lot of time, and sometimes due to the disease, she couldn't. So I think that through the show and all that you do, if we could just reach, one person today in the world who might be like you were many years ago, maybe we can get them out there now and not just active, but rock climbing too. So,
Yeah, it's funny because I don't advocate. I don't really do much. I just occasionally share my story, and
yeah.
it's funny just doing that makes such a difference, and yeah, it makes me feel bad that I don't do more. I don't do one thousandth of what you're doing, and it's amazing that you do what you do, and it leads me both to believe that there's so much more I could do, but even just that anyone could just again sharing your story and just letting people know that my situation has plenty of complications and whatever, but some simple things can make a huge difference. Again, like rock climbing. I mean, that was on a lark. A quick story about that is less than a year after I was diagnosed, I was told to do the big physical therapy routines, the LVSM. I can't remember what the exact
Mhm.
acronym is, but the big exercises. So I was with my physical therapist going through them one day, and he's just like, "Why are you doing this? He said, you're too young and you're too able. This is not the right kind of stuff for you. You need to be doing something more significant." So he put me in touch with somebody who was, I think at that time, the guy was 50, I was 38 or 39 by that point. And he said, "Oh, this guy he goes rock climbing in the Rocky. So he goes biking in the Rockies. He organizes ski trips to Vermont, and he goes rock climbing, all this other kind of stuff." So I was like, I have to meet this guy. And I did, and he was climbing with two other people once a week, twice a week sometimes. I just joined in, and it was just like a small little group of people. And now it's organization that has 450 climbers, 35 locations, and that number was only 30 like a month ago. So it's increasing very rapidly, and it's a phenomenal thing. I have almost nothing to do with that part of it, but just getting on the ground floor and watching it grow has been just awesome, and just seeing the difference it can make in people. You're talking about your mother like feeling alone and feeling isolated. Getting people just to show up to this breaks them out of that spell, and so many of them just find so much satisfaction in just being there, being in a public space where they don't have to feel self-conscious about how they're moving or anything else, that everyone else understands and is welcoming and is not going to stare at them or anything like that. It's just a liberating a liberating feeling, and I never would have expected that.
And one aspect I'm kind of surprised is not, I don't know how much knowledge everyone even listening knows about rock climbing, because it's just not something advertised a lot. I find even the pickleball is now becoming, huge, but wasn't much known or well known before. How do we get more individuals? I think obviously through the show, but how do we get more attention? I was really excited and shared throughout the world the interview did, which we'll get to in a minute with CBS, and I thought that was very, very important. So I think you're doing more than you realize, or at least it's reaching more people through that. And I know that Leslie Stahl, the individual, the reporter, also was affected because her husband had Parkinson. But there's a big conversation I hope we'll have toward the end about the media and how do we get more attention. I myself have written to them 15 times, several times, and no response. I even wrote to Miss Stahl, but no response. And that's been the biggest battle I find fighting to try to get more individuals aware, not just those who have Parkinson, but also who don't, because I think we need everybody in this fight for a cure.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk more about that whenever you want. But I do have some thoughts on that front, having gone through it, although not initiated any of it myself. Um, but yeah, and Molly Kupka, I should say, she's married now. On as one of your guests earlier, she's the person who set up this whole thing of ending Parkinson's, and the goal is to exactly to spread the word and to set up like a almost like a get started quick guide of like here's the basic things you you need to do as a gym, and here's a find people to market to, and here's how you set up those sessions and how you get volunteers, and it's wonderful. It's great. It's almost like she's doing the infrastructure for them, and it's a great organization. So actually, I just finished a fundraiser. I turned 50 this year,
Mhm.
and so if I did a fundraiser, some ludicrous number. I said let's raise $150,000 for Parkinson's for my 50th. I was like, there's no way in hell I'm maybe gonna raise 100. And I was gonna donate 80% to Michael J. Fox, 20% to UpEnding Parkinson's. And well, there's somebody who's matching dollar for dollar anything I raised. So at the end of it, with the match, I got over 180 thousand. It says 110 right here, 110,000, but actually the number when it updates is gonna be $180,000, which blew my mind that it
Mhm.
went past the number. But that money, the 20% going to UpEnding, is going to be for them to again spread the word and expand the program options and make sure more gyms are able to offer this.
I think it's incredible, and I did want to start sharing a few amazing things, and we're going to share the links too on the recording so everyone can go, please, and support Vivek and Upending Parkinson's organization. But here you can see very simple, you just click donate, not that hard, and you can also read a lot more about his journey. And I'm going to get to we're going to add the link to the show. But this is what you were talking about. Molly's coming on the show, I think, this year, so I'm excited to speak to her too. But please go to upendingparkinson.org, and here you'll see a lot more about how to get involved, the actual CBS show, and much more on a lot of their efforts, how to join a gym and how to gain more support. Because again, as you can see, and Vivek mentioned, it's not just about getting out, but imagine this interaction, this training, the, balance, all the areas. I'll play this, but usually muted if you wanted to say, oh, look, who's this gentleman? Maybe you could talk a little bit about upending while we watch this video.
Yeah, it's as an exercise, it's remarkable how obvious in retrospect it is and how non-obvious look forward that it is that it would work. I mean, if you look right here, like just the reach, the balance, but you're supported by the wire. Um, the camaraderie right there and just socializing. Um, but you have a lot of options when you climb. How do you plan to attack a route? And there's different ways to approach it. And it can depend on your height, your ability to reach. It can depend on your movement. If you're shaking, if you're have less strength in one arm, if you're dystonic or whatever. And there's ways around these things. I mean, there's climbing for people who are amputees, and it's phenomenal to watch that. So there's ways around almost anything, and there's adaptive uh, solutions for all that stuff. Look at that guy.
I always like watching my guests watch themselves. So
Yeah, it's
I
not
did.
pleasant. It's not pleasant.
Again, I'm no expert, but I did try it and I couldn't do it for more than 2 or 3 minutes. My wife was like Spider-Man woman climbing all over the place and I never went back again. I want my children someday to go. And that's the nice thing to everyone listening. Not that we're getting any, we're not looking to advertise or get funding for ourselves. We're trying to help upending Parkinson's and the importance of sports, exercise, and Parkinson's, slowing the progression. But it's a family thing too. You could bring your entire family. Do you ever bring your 3 children or?
Yeah, one of them in particular was really took to it really well. She's a teenager, so of course, her taste wax and wane. So right now it's out of fashion. I'm hoping that she gets back into it. My wife has learned how to belay, which is the person holding the rope. So that's actually great, and she's come a few times to some of the sessions. So that's a wonderful way for her to be involved. She's involved in other ways that I would love to talk to if we have time about care partners. Um, but if from a direct involvement perspective, it's nice that she can actually belay me because it takes time to go to these things. I'm usually there for an hour, hour and a half. It takes half an hour to get there, half an hour to get back. I mean, that's 2.5 hours out of a day. That's not trivial,
How
but it's
many days, how many days do you usually get to go out there a week?
I try to go 4 days. I usually end up about 2 to 3. Just 'cause I work.
Yeah.
Um, even though I'm phasing out of that. Nonetheless, it does does get in the way.
It's
Uh,
amazing to see the individuals, no matter what, Parkinson's symptoms they have, are still out there fighting, climbing, and really making a difference like you. I also want everyone to please go to your Instagram. We got to get this up to 1 million or 2 followers and go to PURIVIVEK at Instagram. You can follow. I always like and love all of your work because it shows. I know you think you're not doing a lot, but I do think you're making a huge impact. Just bringing up this topic. This is the first time, I think second time we did have a gentleman who actually they have a documentary about in the UK on rock climbing, but you two are the only individuals I've even heard discussing it, but it's such an important topic that I think everyone again needs to join on and support. So please go to everyone viewing today, or please share this, but also join Vivek at Instagram. Also, you can see supports Team Fox, one of the in groups we love, and also support donated a lot last year. I think we donated $4,000 just to the cause, and you can do that in Vivek's name also, and upending Parkinson's also. So you can see Team Fox, and this was, that's something I would like to kind of shift to. Maybe you could talk about your wanting to work with Team Fox, Michael J. Fox Foundation, because we've had a lot of Team Fox individuals on. We've had the incredible rowers who went around the world. They're amazing. And then I just love that they have so many different individuals, different exercises. And one thing I'm actually having ankle surgery in a week, so we were going to go to the Disney marathon or walk, at least to walk, but we won't make it. But I love to go there because Team Fox is representing at the Disney World walk. That's probably fun because I imagine Mickey Mouse is probably on the walk somewhere. So
Would it be insulting if I couldn't even run as fast as Goofy?
Yeah, I know. I'll be behind both of you. They need a
Uh,
rock climbing thing for.
that would be awesome. So it's one of those things where I found myself just kind of showing up in more of these TV segments and the Climbing Magazine article and so on. And really, it's just happenstance. Actually, honestly, I feel awkward about it. I don't necessarily want to be the face of anything. I just want to help wherever I can. But as a result of just, I think my story is attractive in kind of packaged form for the media. And so it's just simple for them to just go with what sounds compelling. The more I say my story, the more kind of, it's even unintentional. It just becomes more of um, a true story. And, and so I just find that it just, something resonates with people. I don't know what it is. And I want other voices to get out there though. But at the same time, I also know that with this disease, it's like you feel so self-conscious about how people perceive you, and it's a hit to your self-confidence. It's a constant battle against this. If I knew ways to insult you in a sense,
Yeah.
and so I think one thing in one of the segments I said it's nice to be good at something is I think the end of this CBS segment, and I mean that it's like you don't realize how much you're used to getting worse at things. And so it is a really nice kind of way to feel like, people, like you're saying how difficult it is when you went climbing. And it's a very common response I hear. And in a weird way, it's like I want to tell them it's not that big of a deal, but at the same time, there's something gratifying in that. It's like, oh, this thing that other people find hard, I can actually do. And it's nice how that works.
Well, I love it, and I also was excited before we met to see this come on the TV. So I wanted to just play a minute of it. We're going to share the link, but this is the actual CBS. So I'll put the voice too. Let me know if you can hear this. Here we go.
After Alzheimer's, Parkinson's is the second most common neurodegenerative disorder in the world, afflicting some 10 million people. There is no cure. But as our 60 Minutes colleague Leslie Stahl discovered, some hardy patients are mounting an uphill battle to diminish its symptoms. We were amazed at what we were seeing on a sweltering summer's day. When these people with Parkinson's disease began rock climbing on the Carter Rock Cliffs of Maryland. Yes, rock climbing. If you look at these cliffs, you can't imagine anyone could climb them. So you're not babying them.
No.
At all.
No, I definitely give tough love.
It's all part of their therapy, says Molly Kupka. She's the no-nonsense instructor.
Nice job.
Wow. And cheerleader for this community of courageous climbers.
That was so good. Good job.
Thank you.
There's a lot of balance involved, mobility involved, strength, cardio. And then there's the cognitive part where you have to look at the hold and figure out how to get your body to move to get to that hold.
Nice right hand there, John. Find any, yes, that looks like a good foot.
She started this program called UpEnding Parkinsons as a nonprofit 12 years ago. How often do they fall?
Because falling is definitely part of climbing. You're always on the rope.
Woo! There we go.
You fall, but you don't fall far. We always say if you're not falling, you're not trying hard enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They never really fall.
Yeah, that was one when it was on, I was like worried about everyone. So it's nice to see them really, showing this side of something that's important. And I think, again, this helped a lot, probably, getting national attention, but maybe you could touch a little bit on the media. I know Molly, and shout out to Molly. We love her too. Thanks for all she does for everyone out there. And we'll be having her again soon on the show. But, do you have any insight into how they're able to get national media attention, or is it just?
Yeah, I think it's a few things. One of them is just luck and serendipity. So there's a person who volunteers in the group, and she's a journalist, among other things. And she decided to write an article about this, about our group, and it was featured in Climbing Magazine. It was actually the cover story on Climbing Magazine for that month. And some people who some people who read it worked at the Today Show and some other places. So actually, we were actually on the Today Show in, I think, April. It was end of April or beginning of May. And that's again from somebody reading this magazine article. And then same thing happened for the CBS one. There's somebody who also works with us who married somebody. There's a few degrees of separation from Leslie Stahl.
Yeah.
And so that's one segment. That's just kind of the luck of hearing the story. The other one is that the story is interesting, and I think the group is interesting. You think of Parkinson's and rock climbing, and you think of from a media perspective, the film of watching somebody rock climb and knowing they have Parkinson's is just this cognitive dissonance, and I think that's very interesting for people, for a segment like this. And then, of course, the personal stories matter, and it's an uplifting story, almost literally. um, and I think all those kind of work together to kind of create a compelling story for these guys to feature. We're fighting against the odds, and we're not going down without a fight. And so I think that's kind of cool for people to see. And the comments were just awesome online to read, on YouTube and on other places where this clip showed up. It was just tons of just people just loving it. And
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love it too. And I think it's now up to everyone listening to share not just our show today, but the video, because we need it to keep going viral around the world forever till it's a cure. So again, thank you for all that you do in your work. And look here, this might be someone you recognize as well. And
oh boy.
I'm going to leave that if you don't mind, just as I move to the final part of the show, and that's a little bit more about you, although it has all been about you, and I love it. We can't get enough about you. So can you list 3 words that describe who you are?
Silly, uh, thoughtful, hopefully. um, uh,
These are the hard driving Leslie Still questions I have for you.
yeah,
Horrible.
it's a good one. You think I would think about this and I don't.
This is actually the one that stumps everybody. So take a.
Yeah, aspirational.
Nice.
I aspire to be a lot of things, and I'm trying. And it's almost like the more the things are slipping away from me, the harder I'm trying,
Mm.
which is both frustrating and also motivating at the same time. It's like while I have time and while I have ability, I want to do certain things.
Mhm.
And I don't necessarily know exactly what they are. I know they fall in the category of making people feel better and trying to improve people's attitudes towards things, just different ways of a different outlook towards others in the world. And it sounds so fruity and so vague, and it is, but this is where I feel satisfaction when people just are positive in their approach to things, to life, to themselves, to their friends, to their neighbors, and to random people.
Yeah. And then also earlier you mentioned your wife. I was wondering who helps you during times of struggle. I was a caregiver. I was wondering also what tips you can give those listening to a caregiver.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you some of the same questions. So my wife is a trained as a doctor, but with kids right after getting married, so she, of her own volition, suspended that, and but obviously has an interest in medicine and helping others, and has helped me, of course, but helped me more indirectly. She helps me with just taking care of so many things that I'm not even necessarily aware of, and I think that's one struggle that we've had is just me recognizing it and even being aware of it because it's so easy to get wrapped up in the outward facing aspects of Parkinson's, like the media stuff and going climbing and whatever, to be kind of celebrated or just observed. And she's taking care of all the grunt work behind the scenes. I mean, it's just so much stuff to take care of with 3 kids and all that stuff. So I I'm just amazed at caregivers. I don't know how you did it. I mean, it's just I, I have actually a friend of mine who, before she was diagnosed with Parkinson's, she actually was married to a guy who I think had MS, and she was his caregiver. And then, of course, they ended up getting divorced and what have you, and now she has Parkinson's. So she's been on both sides, and she said herself, she said, so far at least, it's been hard. It was harder to be a caregiver than it's been to have Parkinson's.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys do it, and I feel like the support networks are not necessarily as obvious because it's like degrees of separation. Like, I see my doctor directly, I see other people with Parkinson's, so I can talk to them, but my care partner and their care partner don't necessarily interact, nor is there a direct way for them to interact. So my wife actually set up a Facebook group for women who are married to men with young onset Parkinson's, which sounds very, very specific and maybe exclusionary, but that specificity is what gives it the power because they can relate on certain subjects that maybe they don't want to talk about with a broader audience.
Yeah.
This is a private group of I think 150 people, somewhere in that range, 200 people. I don't know what they talk about, but I know it's
Mhm.
something that they really appreciate. So just recognizing that there need to be these forums, and sometimes you have to have the specifics to be able to address certain things that you're not finding um, any kind of solution for out there. Um, so I think that just keeping a focus and remembering to thank our care partners and really thank them in a way that matters, not just words, but help set up a structure for them to help each other and ultimately benefit the people with Parkinson's and the care partners and anyone around them.
Yeah, well, we want to send your wife and everyone in your support system love and support and thanks for what they do. A lot of time, I know you don't like saying it, but you're the face of this, at least, what you're doing. And I always like to bring out the people behind the scenes, not physically, but at least to make sure everyone knows that we're all thankful and grateful for what they do to make and support you so you can do what you do. So thank you to your whole family, and we send our love to them. I was wondering, who is your hero and inspiration?
Oh boy. That's a tough one. It's a few different things kind of melded together, and just off the cuff. So obviously, I not having given this any more thought. Um, there's a few people that kind of really kind of leap forward to me. One of them is Jimmy Choi. I love his attitude. I love his positivity. I know that life is not always easy, and it's plenty of difficulty, but just his honesty and just his tenacity are just awesome to behold. I think what you're doing is incredible. I don't know how the hell you have the motivation. I mean, obviously, your love for your mother is just so clear. And I think it's incredible to see what you can do when you are dedicated, put your mind to something, and really just focus on it relentlessly. And I'm just honestly, I'm blown away. So I applaud you for everything that you've done. And to be honest, some of it I didn't really understand and realize until I started looking more into it when I got an email from you. I'm just that much more impressed. So thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, even in now 2025, I used to say 2024, it's not always easy when obviously, I can't bring my mother back. So some people would say, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And I just, number one, everyone listening knows I don't want anyone to ever feel alone like I did as a caregiver and my mother did as someone diagnosed. Plus, I don't want anyone to have to go through what any of us did. So that's really the only motivation. We don't accept money and we never will, at least not any. I mean, it is hard because this stuff costs a lot. Even just a website could cost $50,000 or more. So it's been a lot of funding ourselves. But it's been 5 years. Some days it feels like my mother's just passed yesterday, and it's shocking that it's been so long, 5 years. So, but through you and everyone I meet, she kind of still stays, her memory at least alive. So that's my motivation, but really don't want anyone to have to go through this. And people like you, to me, are heroes because, like you said, you didn't have to do a lot of what you're doing, but you did. And I think that this is not just unique. I look for unique things. This is just incredible. If we had a word today, I think that's the word. Because, you could take someone again like me, not to bash myself, but I can't do the rock climbing without Parkinson. So imagine how incredibly gifted and people are out there just trying, even if they can't make it more than 3 climbs, it's still amazing. So I commend you back and thank you for your
Well,
friendship too.
when you come to DC, I mean, I'm going to take you. It's not a question.
And I'm gonna have to start working out.
Yeah.
I had a few back surgeries, unfortunately, so maybe rock climbing is the only thing that might work.
Well, same here. I mean, I had back surgery 3 years ago, and I may have to have another
Didn't
one.
work. Yeah,
It did work. I just have a just messed up back, and the Parkinson's doesn't help.
yeah.
But I'd be curious. One quick question for you, from your side, what would have helped you from a caregiver's point of view?
Actually, I wish I had not the show, but known all of you back then, because we didn't have the technology, so it wouldn't have been possible. That's why I don't regret. I would have liked two things. Number one, wish I had a show with my mother, but not about Parkinson, just about life, because I would have had so many hundreds of hours of just us laughing and talk. I don't have that, and even writing my first book on Son's journey about my mother, I kind of had to rely on some family, but as of today it's kind of family's kind of dwindling away, so I don't remember a lot. And that's the one thing I do regret, but we didn't have the technology. And number two, knowing so many amazing people like you who today I consider family to just reach out and say, you know, what do I do? Just to have a voice and just to speak on the phone with my mother. I had an incredible young woman who's a guitar therapist, and my mother had guitar therapy, but I just picture the three of us, you know, viewing FaceTime, and we would have laughed and probably cried together, but it wouldn't have changed the outcome. But it still might have made her smile a little more. I don't know if I could have got her to rock climb, but two of us would have made her laugh a little. So,
You just came and laughed at us while climbing. That would be great for her and for us.
yeah, well, I appreciate it. Maybe in the next lifetime. So,
Yes. Yeah. Well,
um,
I'll leave a chair for her at the next
uh,
our next session.
it's ironic you say that because I have a book coming that has to do with chairs and seats, and it'll be interesting. You know, my one area I do see in the community, and I try to reach not just the Parkinson's community, but the world, because again, I think we need everyone, like literally everyone in this fight. But I do see it tough sometimes because I'm not diagnosed today and I'm no longer a caregiver of someone living with Parkinson's. So kind of the third category that's forgotten in my experience, and that's people who lost a loved one due to Parkinson's. And part of me understands because obviously we need to fight for those still battling, but I also don't feel we should ever forget individuals we've lost. And I think there's, you know, 20 million people over the last, you know, 80, 90 years that we might not even realize had Parkinson, but there's really nothing in my experience. And I keep saying my experience because I've researched it all. So it's just interesting. And that's what I'm honored and grateful everyone out there supports us because without everyone listening and sharing this, no one would still know how important rock climbing is and all the amazing guests we've had. And we're already booked up to 2026 somehow. So
Wow.
yeah, there's a lot of stories, and the only journey that breaks my heart is the one that I'm not aware of. And there are many out there that just don't have the attention. So we need to really create it. But I've had just a few more. One is a fun one you'll love. If you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it, and what actor would play your role?
Oh my God.
Those are my favorite response. You
A
are allowed.
fool,
You are allowed to pass in Quebec.
a fool's journey.
All right. And who would play your role in the acting seat?
I would hope Paul Rudd, 'cause I love
All right.
him.
We got
But
like that's a third one for Paul Rudd. He needs to come on the show and get everyone on with. I'm surprised. I don't think of Paul Rudd a lot, but it's pretty good. So
yeah,
on a final note, first I want to thank you for your time and friendship, and really I hope this is not. I always say this is really not the end because this conversation has to continue beyond the lights, camera, and paparazzi because till there's a cure at everyone's doorsteps around the world, we have to continue this. So I do hope and pray everyone out there listening shares this. Again, we don't want anything except a cure, and I do want you all though to support Vivek. You can go to his Instagram, can also support Team Fox, Michael J. Fox Foundation. Please watch, and I'll share the link for the CBS show, and also support UpEnding Parkinsons. And shout out again to Molly, who I'm pretty friendly with. I'm looking forward to her coming on. And finally, Vivek's donation page, which I'm also going to share. But on a final question for today, since again this is to be continued, could you, if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, what would they be?
do something. it's remarkable. Just don't worry about like what's the best thing to do and whatever. Just do something, and ideally something that's interactive with other people. It's just whenever I get hurt or like when my back is hurting and I'm just not out there, I realize just how critical that kind of outlet is. Even though I don't realize it in the moment, it's just getting the mental space of just in a new environment with different people who maybe they kind of get it. It's just nothing can replace it. Um, and it gives your care partner a rest. And one thing I will say is for those again for anybody who's a care partner who's married to a woman married to some man who was with young onset, married to PD is the group on Facebook is married the number 2 and then PD, and it's a invaluable resource for people who are just don't know where the hell to go next.
I really appreciate your time, effort, and all you do. We'll be following along, sharing, and supporting you in any way I can. And really just grateful. I have a little message for you, Vivek, and everyone listening. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Vivek and UpEnding Parkinsons, will advocate for you. And together, I feel our voices are so much stronger. I always end with, I'm just getting started, because now we're in a new year. It's been 5 years, so I'm not really just getting started, but I do feel like when there are tough days, like coming out of my own surgeries, several of them, I don't know why or how, what's happening. Hopefully 2027 or 2026, I hope that's enough of the surgeries for me. But, when I'm struggling or things happen in the world, moving and things occurring around the nation, I kind of flip on a TV or happen to just find a source or see an article and Vivek comes up and changes my life for the better forever. And that's what I want for the show going forward in 2025. I have to keep remembering what year we're in, is that everybody out there knows there are people out there doing incredible things. And that's really what I want to learn about and share it with the world. So thank you again, Vivek, for your time. It's just been such an honor. I'm so excited. I actually felt like I waited a few years. So they always say the best is yet to come, and it has. And just grateful again for your time and excited to see what the future brings.
Thank you, George, and thank you for all that you do. It's just, again, it's just incredible. So thank you for the opportunity.
I appreciate it. Thanks for giving me a chance. It's always interesting because I love what you said. It's, you don't really know. In 2024, you think you can't have people who just want to do good. It's always like Shark Tank in a way where, but wait, there's more. But for us, there's no more. Just literally what you get what you see. So thanks for giving the risk. I don't think the risk was hard as climbing a giant mountain. So you're a risk taker, and I'm grateful for that. And I hope everyone else is out there too, because if you give me a shot, you'll see it's just going to have a little time of fun conversation, and really the most important thing, awareness. So please share this, please support Vivek, and just want to thank everyone for joining us on the first episode. I guess it would be called season 2, but year 2 of Q&A with Sharon's son, George. So we have many more shows to come. If you have a guest that you'd like to hear interviewed or come on the show, feel free to reach out to me, together for Sharon at gmail.com, or topics or questions, because I love the stomping of the, writing their own movie, but I guarantee there's some more great things out there that you want me to ask. And I love to have all of you be a part of the show. The show is for you and for everyone throughout the world until the cure is at everyone's doorstep. So thanks again, everyone. Enjoy 2025. Happy New Year. And thanks, Vivek. We send our love to you and the whole family. Talk to you
Thank you.
soon. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.